What is up, ladies and gentlemen? I'm coming in with a banger of a video today. Actually, one of the first videos that's going to be uploaded on this channel. And as you can see by the tier list, it's going to be my 2024 drug tier list. Now, this tier list is going to be, based on my opinions and my opinions alone. Um, so without further ado, let's get into it. The first on this list is going to be weed. Now, I don't think weed needs any introduction. Weed does not need any introduction. It can be done with anything. It can be smoked anytime. Most people are cool with it. You're really just chill. You get the munchies. I really do not think weed needs any further introduction on this. I think we all know where it's going to go. Clearly, it's going to elite. I, I just don't think there's anything else that needs to be said. Now that we got that out of the way, let's move on to something a little bit more serious. Next on the list, we have LSD. Now, I personally have a lot of experience with this from high school all the way up until I was about 19, 20. Personally, it kind of fell off for me after that. But this used to be one of my favorite drugs. I used to think that I would be tripping until like I was 45, 60. I used to think that everyone needed to try it and that it was genuinely just a really good drug. One of the best out there, for what it offers and how cheap it is. So we are going to be putting that. I'm thinking C. I personally fell off. I used to take 10, 12 tabs like nothing, like candy. So like for me personally, it just does not hit the same as it did. Like I said, this is my personal experience and beliefs, and I'll put it B. I'll put it B. For what it has offered me in my life, I wouldn't take it back, but I can't do it anymore. Me personally, like never again. So with that, it is going to stay in B. The next is K2. Now let's be real. You're only smoking this because you can't afford weed or you are getting a insanely good deal on it. It is a poverty drug. I don't think I've ever seen anybody who actually enjoys it who has money. So for that reason, it's going in poverty. I don't think it needs any further introduction. Nobody does this. Nobody ever liked this. And there's a reason you don't see it anymore. Next on the list is good old Molly. I really don't like it. I really do not like Molly. It is really, in my opinion and in my experience, just meth put in a colorful pill. That's all it is. And I've never been a fan of meth. It's very addictive. It's 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 really you just shouldn't do it. It's just one of those drugs where you just kind of steer clear of it and it's just never going to lead you anywhere good, like ever. Not that any of these would, but meth is definitely like bottom tier, but it's not a poverty drug, okay? You have to have some money to play the game. So for that reason, I'm going to put it in F tier. Like I said, not a poverty drug, not anywhere near S, not even A. The next on this list is DMT. I have personally only ever done this once, and it was the weirdest experience I think I have ever experienced. I personally felt like I was floating in space despite laying on a bed. And that's really the only experience I have with it. I remember I got a gram of it. I got a gram of it and it said DMT fumigrate on it or something along those lines. Listen, I don't claim to be a fucking English teacher, but I did not like it. I do want to try it again sometime, and so for that reason, it's gonna go in B along with LSD because it is something that isn't bad, and I would do it again. Although I wouldn't do LSD. Now the next thing on this list, Xanax. One of my personal favorites. You you can't go wrong. I'm lying. You can go 100% wrong. As a matter of fact, this drug makes you a literal 1 IQ caveman. Like, you probably couldn't even start a fire off this. You don't know what's going on. You don't know what you're doing. I have some of the craziest stories from what I can obviously remember doing this. But it is one of my favorites. But sadly, it is not S, because you wake up not knowing what you did or how many you took, which is a little jarring. So for that reason, I'm going to put it in A. I personally love it. I love just not knowing what happened, but to an extent, I personally had to stop. So we're just going to move on. I think it's an A tier. It's one of the easier, better drugs to just take and forget. I love it. MDMA. Now, MDMA and Molly are completely different. This is probably elite for me. I've only done it twice. The real stuff. Not going to include things that I couldn't verify. But this is probably one of the best drugs here, in my opinion. You just truly cannot go wrong with it. You feel great. And if you do enough, you will trip. You will trip. Completely different trip from LSD or DMT, but you will trip. It is amazing. And the way you feel and the way music sounds is unparalleled. So for that, it's going in elite for me. Next on this list, oh man. Boy, do I have some experiences with this. And not good ones. You're doing this because you're broke. And you want to get this experience, but you can't find this. So you're here. Nobody does this for fun. Nobody does this because they want to. It tastes so bad. And you feel like shit the whole entire time. It is one of the worst things I've ever done. And I have dabbled in it more than I should have. I've probably done it like 6 or 7 times. It's a crazy trip, but it is not a good one. You are broke. It is in poverty. Galaxy Gas. Now listen, this has a soft spot in my heart because I was doing this before it was ever in these containers. I remember it being in the CO2 containers, and it's just great. I can't imagine anything better. It's like a cigarette. You inhale it, lasts for 20 to 30 seconds, and you're done. It's very the ease of use on it is crazy. You could do it on a work break. You could do it at home. You could do it before you fucking go in for an interview. It does not matter. It is perfect. It is crazy what these youngins are doing. For that, it is going to go in B. It's not the best. It does not last the longest. It's kind of expensive. But for what it offers, it's B. Now listen. We've all smoked a cigarette. If you're one of the people that haven't, God bless you. But these are F. They're not good for you. Not poverty, because you got to pay to play. You really got to pay to play. But they're not good for you. They don't do anything unless you're drunk or tripping. And they're more of just a go with everything type of drug. Doesn't do anything on its own. Helps with other things. That's going in F tier. And next, we have meth. Good old meth. I personally hate this drug. Never been a fan of it, but I can see the appeal. I personally don't like staying up all night, geeking, thinking about the same thing over and over, or multiple things, just mind racing. Not for me. Never liked it. I actually despise it, but I see the purpose. I see where people like it. And for that, it is C tier. Like I said, the only reason Molly is F is because it pretty much is this, just packed in a colorful little pill, which is deceiving to me. So I've never been a fan of it. People, you guys can find the comments about whether I'm right or wrong about this, but in my experience, it has just always been meth, a little piece of meth put in the pill. It's never been actual MDMA. So to me, this is worse than this, even though this is more colorful because it's lying. Shrooms. These, if I had to get high, would be the way I got high. They don't last as long as LSD. The trip is more mild and I want to say like more spiritual, like you're more in your head. Well, LSD, you're just seeing anything and everything. So for that reason, these are going to go A. Granted, I would probably never do it again, but it was one of the better psychedelics. Cocaine. Now, this probably isn't going to surprise you, but it's never been my favorite. I am just not an upper guy. But it is the most enjoyable upper that I have done. And it's pretty good. It's pretty fucking expensive, which was always like the biggest turnoff, considering it's like not even pure ever. So that was always like, that's crazy. 80, 90, $100 for some baby powder. But when it was good and I had a good connect for it, it was something I'd buy every once in a while. And for that reason, it is going to go in A tier because it is the only upper I could consider doing. Now listen, this is ketamine. I have quite an experience with this. It is okay. There's a certain point where it goes from good to this is hell. And that point is a very fine line. When it's good, it's really good. When it's bad, it's really bad. I've personally never been a fan of K-holing. I do not like the way that feels. But when you don't K-hole and you just ride the line, I'd have to say it is one of the better dissociatives. I believe this is also dissociative. Way better. Not comparable at all. And for that reason, I'm going to put it A. And now I'm having second thoughts. I kind of want to move Xanax up. I think Xanax deserves S tier. The amount of things it does and how it does them to me is just absolutely bliss. Perfect. I couldn't ask for anything better. So I think we're going to move that up to S. We have our first S tier. It would be elite if it didn't have so many bad side effects. Hold up, I need a hydration. That was needed. Next on this list, heroin. This is like extinct now. You will never find this without this. So for that reason, and the fact that I have never done it, it's gonna go F, because I doubt anyone's even doing real heroin anymore. Although if I'd had the chance to do it, I might have a higher rating for it. But like I said, I doubt anyone's doing real heroin anymore. It's all fentanyl, so there's no point. Now we got some crack. I have personally never done crack. I have been in a room while someone has, and it is quite a scary thing to watch, I would say. That you can just kind of see the immediate energy they get, and I'm happy for them. I'm glad they got something they like. But for me, seeing as I've never done it and it isn't upper, it's gonna go in C. I realize it's cocaine, just a different form, but I've never done it, so I can't speak on it. But it is a drug that people do, so C tier. It's obviously not poverty. Smelling salts. This is poverty. You're 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 doing this because you have nothing else to do. I've never even sniffed a smelling salt. Never. It's I, you're doing this because you're poverty. Just keep it real. Bath salts. The same thing. You're doing this because you're in poverty. There's no other reason to do this. I've never done it, so I don't have an experience with it. But from what I've heard, it is not good, not even F tier. So for that reason, it's poverty. Now listen, we got some alcohol. I'm personally, you know, growing up, I really was not a fan. I honestly could never say I saw myself drinking. But as I've gotten older and tried a bunch of alcohols and drank in public settings and with friends and all that, I can say it's honestly S tier. And combining these two, which you should never do, should never do that. I personally would never do that, but you should never do that. Combining these two, though, from what I have heard, is probably the most fun experience you can have. Like I said, haven't tried it, but if I had, I would tell you it is the best combo on the market. That's me, my opinion. Don't try it. We're going to skip these because I genuinely don't know what they are. Oh, Benadryl. If it's Benadryl, it's poverty. I've tried to get high off Benadryl. It's really weird. I just felt kind of like I had spiders crawling on me. Didn't get high enough to see anything. Thank God. Really weird. Would never do it again. It's the same thing. It's a cigarette. Got to pay to play, but really don't get anything out of it. So, F tier. I don't know what that is. I have no idea what that purple plant could be. Besides, like, Datra or, whatever you would call that. I have no idea. Also, I have no idea what this would be. Because if that's cocaine, what is that? I have no clue. Here we go. Fentanyl, something I can actually speak on. This is clearly something that people a lot of the times don't know they're doing it, but is very addictive and is stronger than, let's say, these hydrocodone. I personally don't believe I have experience with it. Like 90% sure I don't not have experience with it. But if I did, I would say it has to be C. It's probably enjoyable. I've never done it. I see why people do it. So for that reason, it is C. Correction, I see why people do it whether they want to or not. So it is going in C for that reason. Other than that, I can't speak on it because I've never done it to my knowledge. So with that, it is going to stay in C. The last one on the list, because who's really out here doing spider venom? Or not spider venom, snake venom. Who's really out here doing snake venom? Nobody, I'd hope. Hydrocodone, or just opiates in general. Prescription opiates. I personally was a big lover of these. Helped me through a lot. Very fun, euphoric. I don't know. The best feeling to me is definitely just sitting there, like really sleepy. Like I love that feeling. These have many experiences with them. I would not recommend them. Very addictive. These are what gets you into this. So, for that reasons, I can't list it that high, although it would be elite because that's personally my favorite. If this was looking at it from 100% my opinions, no other opinion, just mine, not even looking at it socially or anything, it would be this and this. All these up top. And I would probably, I think everything else would stay. So this would be my list. But looking at it from an actual smart point of view, where I take other people's, experiences into account, and why these things are the way they are. This is the final list. This is my list. I could do these every day. Every day. These, like, man, almost every day. You gotta take a break. Like I said, I could do these, but I'm just at the point in my life where I don't do these kind of things. Really, anything past here I wouldn't do. I just wouldn't. Like, if you honestly put it in front of me, I'd probably decline. That's a lie. If you put the Galaxy gas in front of me, I'm huffing it. I do not give a fuck. But anyways, this is my 2024 tier list. And I appreciate you guys for watching. Please give a like and, let me know what you thought of the video. This is my first video. Obviously, I'm going to be refining the craft. But, any feedback is welcome. I do think I went a little bit fast on this tier list. I just didn't want to waste any time. I wanted to get straight to the point. Like I said, I appreciate you watching.